All right, what's up, Fourth Bridge passengers? This is Steven, Josh, and Ben from Fantology with the promised first part review of Rhythm of War. We're able to get this one out fairly quickly since we've already read the first part of Rhythm of War from the pre-release chapters. In fact, it probably could have been out even earlier than now, but we thought we'd wait until the book has been out for a little bit so people can read and then, come back here and review a little bit or get our humorous takes on how things are going. So guys, as we record, the book came out earlier today and hype and excitement level could probably not be any higher, at least for me personally.
Definitely through the roof. It is an indication of how much we love our fans that we are willing to take this hour and some minutes out of our night that we could spend reading.
Yes.
Because this is definitely like 60 some pages that I would be consuming right now, but instead we're doing this.
Ooh, quick reader. A minute a page.
Oh,
huh?
I don't know. A minute a page. That's real, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's like spending 1,200 minutes reading this book.
Yeah, which is well. Let's not do the math there and figure out how much of our life we're spending reading these books. Not that it's not time well spent.
I believe that's 100 hours, right?
The audiobook is about 57, so we could probably just go from there, I guess.
Wait, yeah. Anyway, that was terrible.
Josh,
that's 20 hours if you want to be technical about it. So that would be like I'm doing 3x speed. Maybe I don't do a minute a page. Maybe I'll do a minute and a half per page. I don't know.
You just have to have super concentration as you're reading. Anyway, the pre-release launch party just wrapped up. Sanderson was broadcasting from Evermore, a local place in Utah that I have attended. Dang, I should have just hung out there a little bit and snuck in. Maybe for KOW book 5. That is our Fantology goal, to get some kind of invitation to that release party.
My goal is to get an arc so that we don't have to sit here recording a podcast while we could.
Yeah, we should get arcs for all these books. Why are we waiting?
Anyway, I have not, confession time, I have not even finished Dawn Shard yet, so I really shouldn't be talking.
Oh. All right, well, we'll try to avoid spoilers for Dawn Shard. That's actually good to know because I
no,
might have
you can spoil
some things.
You can spoil some things.
It's just there's minor crossovers in part 1, so we may just point out where those are.
Yeah.
We should let listeners know anyway. All right, so let's get to it. So like we said, we're going to talk through parts 1. Well, like we said, we're going to do an episode for each of the 5 parts of the book, as usual. Part 1 was all released already. And if you like Fantology, you can find those episodes as well as other episodes on Cosmere stuff, on Wheel of Time stuff, Harry Potter, Joe Abercrombie, Dresden, etc. You can find all that stuff online at www.fantologybooks.com, and you can support the channel at patreon.com/fantology_books. And of course, you can always listen and like and subscribe and tell your friends about the channel, and that will help us get closer to our arc, which is our ultimate goal.
And shout out to Steven. He's done a really good job with each of these pre-release chapters. If you want a really deep dive, you can go listen to the podcast episodes, or we have all of them sorted into a YouTube playlist that you can go just kind of burn through. So if you want a really deep dive with some good takes, then go check those out.
Fantastic.
And there's a lot of Fantology guarantees. And Steven, when you're kind of like explaining what our podcast is, I dare you to find another podcast where you can list Harry Potter and Joel Abercrombie right next to each other in the same sentence. Doesn't exist. I'll tell you right now.
It probably doesn't exist. There are some other podcasts that cover the fantasy book landscape, but those are two. That's a pretty good dichotomy there.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, we've made a lot of good friends in this space. There's a lot of great, we can shout out some fantasy book podcast people out there. But I'm just saying, we have a lot of a wide range of coverage here.
All right. So to start off with part 1. So let's talk about the prologue. This is once again another look at the fateful night of Gavilar's assassination, and this time it's through Navani's point of view. So what stood out for you guys? What stood out for you guys for this prologue?
Dude, Gavilar is an a-hole to keep this family friendly.
Hey, he was like a-hole is used in the book in part 1, actually. So it's a little edgy.
It's a little edgy. Go on, Brandon Sanders. That was, I think, the first real world swear word in his books. Yeah, but I suppose that specific anatomy part of the body occurs in Roshar as well. So I guess it's an in-world swear too.
We can't assume that.
Um, so Gavilar was definitely an a-hole, and it actually helps us understand why Navani was like pretty set on moving on from him very quickly. Like not
Yeah.
that she did, because Dalinar is kind of prudish about these things, but like she was in a loveless marriage for a very long time.
She mentions that he's gotten worse lately, but from what we see here, yeah, he's a total jerk.
And I completely agree with what you guys are saying, but we also get some perspective in Navani here. Like, this is not to in any way to like justify anything that he did, because that was like definitely abusive in more ways than one. But like she was, not being very nice to him either. She was pressing his buttons and getting him riled up. And then we see after he's dead, she doesn't really like realize the fact that she's dead, but she more goes for the things like the artifact that was on his body, right? She doesn't process it in how we might expect her to.
Yeah, she's more concerned with holding everything together afterwards. There's no real grief-stricken widow thing happening.
But it was more than that. She like went and knelt over his corpse and looked for the
mysterious void light, storm light, yeah, whatever this spear was.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, but if you're like first thing on seeing your husband's corpse, even if you didn't like love him that much, was to go scavenge his body for an artifact you just found out about, like that's a definite different side of Navani that I don't think we've seen before.
Dude, got to get that loot. Am I right, Destiny players? Yeah, I suppose that's true. And we also saw the side of her that was fairly insecure. She talks about not really having this royal upbringing, and she's trying to hold herself things together at this event the best she can with almost no support from Gavilar or from any of the other high princes. Dalinar's here just drunk, right? Which we understand more after reading Oathbringer. So we get that about her a little bit more. There's also some good Cosmere information from this chapter. The Heralds are around. I kind of wonder, why do they like Gavilar so much? I'm also wondering if all 10 of them were present in some capacity. So we get Nail and Kalik directly there. It's hinted that Shalash was there. Yezron was probably there somewhere drunk. I'm guessing the others were around as well.
Yeah, it's definitely, we still have. So, okay, this is one question. Do you think that he's going to keep this repetitive prologue chapter going after the first 5-book arc? Or,
probably not. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think he's going to switch to something else.
That's fair. Yeah, so I guess then I was going to say it depends how much more information we expect we're going to receive about that night in the next book.
True. We've only got one more before the arc is over.
Right. So I'm not sure. That I would hold off on a Fantology guarantee with that one, Stephen.
All right, no guarantee you're there yet. We'll get to guarantees. Another thing we get is more information about cosmeric travel. They talk about boxes of stuff going back and forth from Braze. They mentioned Braze specifically. This is Gavilar and his mysterious shadowy figures who are the Heralds. And then these spears of void light, what happened to them? Gavilar has a bunch of them. And are they even void light? Are they something else? We get more of this at the end of part 1 when we finally do recover the spear from Szeth. And there is one small thing where Gavilar kind of looks towards like nothing in the air for a brief second, and it's weird. And people are speculating that he might have bonded a spren. Maybe like a jerk spren has joined to him.
So he's definitely a Dustbringer. Here's the thing, though. I don't think that he would have died like that, right? Had he bonded a spren? I don't think he's bonded a spren, because if you have that bond, then you're able to heal yourself with Stormlight, right? And he died like a normal person would die. And so unless it was like yet another case of somebody like just barely about to swear the first ideal and failing to, you know what I mean? It's kind of, And plus, didn't he was like wielding a shard blade as well?
Yeah, these are all good points.
But my thing is, are we even sure Gavilar is dead?
I mean, probably. Otherwise, someone would have commented on it, right?
Well,
Seems like a massive conspiracy.
Yeah, Yasna pulled it off. Like if she didn't come back, then no one.
Well, there
would
was
have
no
known that she
body.
was.
We knew that there was no body. They've got Gavilar's body here.
Well, for a few minutes, we don't know what happens to the body afterwards.
Yeah, this might be a full-on tinfoil hat conspiracy theory here, Josh.
I don't think so, man. Because you think the singers were around him. The singers knew that what he was up to. Like maybe they went and like called him off. I don't know. There's probably somebody's going to be able to easily debunk this, but I'm just saying.
All right, we're all about throwing theories out there. So so Josh's theory is Gavilar is still alive. In our episode leading up to the release of Rhythm of War, Josh also thought your theory might have been a spaceship. So these are the types of theories that Josh brings to the table. One of them will probably be right and you'll be a genius.
Okay, wait a second. In Dawn Shard, I just read a part last night where they were doing some stuff with Fabrials, and they made a comment like, "Oh yeah, we don't want to send you shooting up to the stratosphere." Spaceship.
All right, there it is. And actually, we just listened to Sanderson read a exclusive for a future event years ahead. Once the Cosmere goes out into space, so it will happen. We know it's going to happen.
I think Sanderson was accidentally reading a passage from Skyward when he was reading that.
That could work too. All right, so going past the prologue, this book starts a year after Oathbringer, which is an interesting decision. So there's a big time skip, and throughout all of part one, we're dealing with this time skip and trying to figure out what has happened since. So a few things that I've noted down are there a lot more Night Radiants. It said there's about 300 Windrunners. Bridge 4 has leveled up. None has made it to the 4th ideal yet, but a lot of them have their own groups of squires. We need more Honor Spren, though, because that's the bottleneck here. They would have had more Windrunners if there were more willing Honor Spren. Technology has advanced quite a bit. Navani has been doing very well and proving Gavilar wrong in some of the things that he was saying about her. And now we have a flying 4th bridge, which is basically a airship. And we're going, I'm assuming this will become more and more advanced as this book goes on. And Shadesmar is pretty widely known and used. They talk about going in and out of Shadesmar quite a bit. And I think there's some other things as well, but those were like the main events. What do you guys think of the time skip? When I was first getting introduced to this idea, I thought it was a little controversial. I honestly, I didn't really love it at first.
Yeah, especially because like on top of the technological advances, we also have a lot of advances in terms of the amount of Knights Radiant that exists in the world, right? So like pretty much every order has things happening, and we also have the different orders for the Parshendi that they've developed into.
Right. So the Fused have their 9 orders that are built out fairly well. We've even got like Stone Wards now. We were looking forward to kind of seeing how these guys developed, and now here they are already.
Yeah. And so it's kind of tough because as readers, we've been privy to the most important events of Roshar happening kind of right before our eyes, right? And watching as our favorite characters do like make these leaps and bounds in terms of the magic system. And now it seems like they took a lot of leaps and bounds while we weren't watching. And so that was pretty jarring. So I kind of have a different take than you guys. I thought it was fine. I think that we are moving towards the conclusion of this first set of 5 books. And he spent a lot of time in the first couple books really kind of easing you into the magic system so that he could take some of these more licenses as we move towards the end.
I can see that.
And honestly, in a lot of books, in a lot of series, these kind of time jumps between books are pretty normal, I think. You know, and so I didn't have a problem with it very much at all. I was just excited to see what was going on.
And he's talked about how he had the first 3 books really heavily plotted out, and now that he got to the 4th book, he had to spend more time with it, revising and getting opinions from beta readers and trying to figure out how to piece things together. And so maybe that was kind of part of the decision he was making as he plotted out the wider, the rest of the whole entire series.
Yeah, and I think so. One thing that's a little bit weird to me is that like when we meet our characters again, they are all still struggling in the exact same ways that they were struggling before mentally. Like I'm thinking specifically of Shallan and Kaladin here that are having those same mental term like battles.
Yeah.
And so it seems like that would have been continuing on for that year. And hopefully they would have made a lot of progress. And if they haven't, then it seems strange that they're like already starting to make progress or have these things happen to them right when we jump back into it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would say Kaladin's gotten worse.
Yeah,
that's
what I'm thinking. Same with Shallan. Yeah, I guess that's true. But like, again, it just feels very convenient that like after a year of things happening continuously, we're jumping back into it, and suddenly Dalinar is picking this exact moment to release Kaladin from duty, and it's just, I don't know.
I don't know. This is when Kaladin went on a mission to rescue his family, and then as soon as he did that, Dalinar was like, "All right, let's retire you." I get what you're saying, but I think that it's handled well enough that it wasn't that jarring for me. Like Kaladin has not stayed the same. He's, like you said, gotten a lot worse. And Shallan, yes and no. I mean, in some ways she's gotten more stable, but in other ways she's gotten
there's something lurking there too. That seems pretty bad for Shallan.
Okay, that's fair. I think that was handled well. I'm just saying that that's a pitfall of doing a time jump like this. Is it you have to kind of build not necessarily plot armor, but like, I don't know, just kind of realize that this is
you have to make your readers accept that they've missed some things, but also now important things are happening, and the things they missed like aren't super important. We'll talk about them a little bit, but the story's here. Here we go.
Yeah.
After a year.
And so along with this time jump, we're also thrown into a climax, which is something that Sanderson has talked a lot about, right?
Yeah. The climax start. Interesting. Not something most books do. Kind of a bold choice.
Well, I think most books start with like some crazy event happening for like the first few pages. And
that's the popular thing, right? Like start in the action, get you hooked.
So that's like Dresden
was in the beginning of Wars of Way of Kings.
Yeah, Dresden will always fight a monster in the first chapter of the book and then move on to doing other things. But I think that this is really cool. I think you can see a lot of Sanderson adapting to the criticisms that came from Oathbringer of having a little bit of a slow start and being kind of hard to get into. You can tell that he took that to heart. I mean, I don't know if that was the exact impetus. I don't think I've heard him say that, but that's definitely what it feels like to me. Is he's going to say, "Well, let's try something different. Let's
And obviously, you can only do this in an extended series where people have already read thousands of pages, so it's fine to start off with a big climax because really you're talking about a plot that extends over a series, not just for one book. So if you have, it doesn't necessarily matter like where your peaks and valleys are in terms of plot speed.
Yeah. And so let's talk about, sorry, Josh.
I was just also going to say that I think I would have enjoyed it even more had I not been reading the pre-release chapters week by week, because I think it would have felt even more like building climax than reading
for sure.
chapter then.
So I mean the pre-release chapters are cool, but it's not nearly as exciting as holding the book and seeing the art and turning the pages, right? Like just looking at the Tor website is just not the same. Maybe we shouldn't read them.
Also, my last comment. My last comment is that I realized how much reading I actually do on the internet, because I didn't feel like I read that much Rhythm of War pre-release chapters over the course of like the last 4 months or however long it's been being released. But then you look at it's like 25% of the book. That means I read like 250 pages or 300 pages.
Yeah, I think I started today on page 270 about.
Yeah, so that means I read 300 pages without even like really realizing it, just because I would treat it like I was surfing the internet.
Yeah, I've definitely read a lot of Reddit. I would not be surprised if that was in the thousands of pages at this point. So let's think about why this was a climax though. Like what all happened? So first of all, we had Kaladin visiting his homeland, right? And rescuing his parents.
So Kaladin back to Hearthstone, take 2. The first one in Oathbringer didn't go super well. He's trying again in Rhythm of War.
And I think this was the return that everybody was hoping for.
But this was also part of it was to help capture the mink, right? And so that also happened.
Yeah, they needed to get him, and then a part of that was Hearthstone. The mink has been a minor character so far. Later on, he provides some military strategy to Dalinar. I could see him being kind of cool going forward. But for now, we know he's important.
My prediction for the mink is that he's going to be the downfall of Teravangian, and kind of predict what he's going to do, and he's going to be like the thing that the diagram did not see coming. Was the rescue of the mink.
It's like Dalinar with military strategy and actual political savvy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we got the mink. We also have Kaladin showing down these group of fused that have this thing that drains his powers, and he like totally still owns them because he's pro with his spear even without his Stormlight. That was a super fun scene.
Yeah,
right?
To fill in a few gaps there. So he fights Leshwi for a while. Leshwi is the heavenly one that Moash killed, and then she came back and she's like, Moash, I respect you. Let's call you Vyre now and give you a magic dagger. Go kill a herald. And also here's an honor blade. That's Leshwi summed up. And Kaladin and Leshwi seem to have this like code of honor almost amongst themselves. Like they're almost like
frenemies.
Fight. Yeah, they're total frenemies. People have shipped them even at this point. So he fights with her for a while, and then they break off, and he fights with this other type of fuse that mimics Elsecaller type powers, we think. This one's called Lezian, the Pursuer, and he busts out this Fabrial that sucks away his Stormlight, like you said, Ben, and Kaladin is able to kill him using his basic spear training. And this is so impressive, actually, when Lezian comes back, he's like, that thing didn't work. The Radiant still killed me, or the Knight's Radiant still killed me. What's going on here?
Yeah, he's definitely trying to save face there a little bit. I think he knows that it worked, and it also kind of sets up this thing going forward where Kaladin's gonna have like somebody kind of trying to come and kill him, even though he's just like retired and is just like a surgeon now, So it's kind of this interesting decision.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
I think that this is setting up a really cool dynamic here of giving us another small villain that Kaladin has to take out.
So because here's the thing, we like with Szeth, we were all looking forward to the moment that Szeth and Kaladin would throw down, right? So is this going to be something similar? But if so, we have to have like this Pursuer guy kind of popping up every now and then, so we are reminded of him.
Oh, I think
because by the end of part one. Yeah, because by the end of part one, he doesn't really pop up again, right? He just kind of like,
he's still off in Kholinar, hanging out with the Nine, coming up with the battle strategy. He'll probably force his way onto the raid or something, or do something. I mean, it's noted that this guy is infamously a hothead.
Yeah.
But to go to your point, Josh, of who our villains are, we talked about this in Oathbringer. We're kind of out of personal villains. We really only have Moash left since we killed off Amaram and we killed off Sadius. And so now I guess we go to people like Lezian, I guess fused like Rabanayal, who comes in, a new fused, seems fairly we're a little concerned about her. She has infamously orchestrated a pandemic that wiped out 1/10 of the population in the past, and she's going to be a part of this raid. And she's controlling the Nine a little bit, or they listen to her. So there are some villains being set up here, but they're kind of new characters.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of hope for these characters with the way that Sanderson is orchestrating them. I think that I personally think that Sanderson does more force of nature villains even a little bit better than he does like personal bad guy villains.
Oh, really?
I think he did Amaram. Well, I think he did Amaram and Sadius pretty well. But and thinking about the Mistborn trilogy, and this is going to be some spoilers for Mistborn, not like too heavy, but I never really thought that like
Zane. We weren't really ever too concerned about it. Yeah,
Zane and like Ellen's father. Like I remember them being done well. Yeah, Lord Straft to like boost the tension in the series and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was never
too concerned about like their impact that they were going to have on our characters.
Right. But when you get into things like the deepness, that had a really cool effect by the end. We'll avoid the major spoiler there.
Yeah, exactly. This is just kind of like generally talking about it.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, it's hard to care about these personal vendettas when we have world-ending events in the mix. So it's definitely tough.
Okay, so for Kaladin, what was the moment that we need to remember from part 1 for you guys, for him?
Well, I think it's the thing that's going to set up the rest of everything is his decision to become a surgeon, right? Like that's where kind of part 1 was taking him for me.
I think that the moment itself was when he froze in confronting Moash in the basement of
one of the darkest moments in Stormlight for sure.
Yeah. And when he was even, you could see that he had personal progress because he was trying to save
he was trying to save Roshan.
Yeah, Roshan, he was trying to save him, whereas maybe at the beginning of the series he might have even let him die because he was the Light Eyes that was responsible for a lot.
Last time he was around him, he punched him in the face. So
that was also an awesome scene. but so in some ways we've seen Kaladin grow a lot because he's now has a respect for these people, or at least a pity for these people that he used to disdain. But now he couldn't protect him and froze and allowed him to die. And so I think that in terms of one scene being very important for Kaladin's arc, I think it's that scene.
Yep, I think both of those scenes are huge. Are going to play a lot into it. For me, the moment that I remembered was a smaller scene is when he was coming back to Urithiru and he's just trying to hold it together because Dalinar has just told him he's going to be reassigned and things are spiraling out of control. His depression's going crazy and he's walking through. I mean, you can tell he's just got this huge weight in his stomach and he's feeling all of the terrible, depressing feelings. And he goes into his apartment or whatever, sinks down next to the door, completely falls apart. And Syl gets Adeline to come in and basically rescue him. I thought that was an awesome moment. And actually, Sanderson has said that that was his favorite chapter in this, in part 1. He, in his email today, that he sent out all of his favorite chapters and his most difficult to write chapters. And I think he really enjoyed writing that sequence.
Yeah, I think he definitely knows something that a lot of people were going to connect to. And I think at this point, we all need an Adeline in our lives a little bit, like.
For sure.
Yeah.
So. All right. So let's go past Kaladin onto Navani. So we talked about this in Oathbringer, but Navani has always been a great character, but not one that we've seen enough of in terms of point of view. She's always kind of been more on the sidelines, and we just needed more time on screen, more time for her to shine. And so she's getting it here. She is the voice of the chapter headings, the epigraphs there, with this lecture series that have a good Mistborn Metal crossover. We probably don't have time to talk about that, but I think her character in general is fun to read, and it's a nice, different kind of change of pace from some of these other guys.
Yep, and I particularly like that at the end of the lecture series, we find out that she is petitioning the Roshar scholars around the world to make public their findings, that this is her extending the first olive branch and saying that this is everything she knows. And if everybody could contribute, that'd be great. So it kind of shows that she's not only this this queen of machines, right? That she's also trying to extend olive branches all across Roshar and pool humanity's knowledge.
Yeah, it's almost like she's got a voice in her head saying, unite them.
Yeah, exactly.
This is also another really cool application to what I feel like a Armageddon type situation would be in our world, where there's a few people like scholars specifically trying to get people to come together, trying to share knowledge, being like, yo, people, we got this going on. We need to do something about it. And
you got you got Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg just emailing other tech head industries.
Yeah, Elon Musk would definitely be involved in that.
So one thing,
if the world's ending, Elon Musk has his fingerprints all over it.
No, he'd be like, I got tested twice. One of them was positive, one of them was negative. It's all fake.
Yeah, the great uniter is going to be Joe Rogan.
There it is.
So there it is. So I think that one thing that I also appreciate about Navani is that similar to these other kind of internal struggles that we see other characters taking on, we always see her going back to, I wonder if they're going to see me as an actual scholar and not just as somebody who kind of guides them. Because she always says, I'm not that smart. I just know how to ask the right questions, or I just know how. And so at what point
she's
does
the
she
total
just say,
executive personality type.
yeah, but I think she also has to take some ownership and say, hey, I am that smart. I am able to bring out the best in people. I deserve the accolades that I get, So
Honestly, I feel the total way, and I feel the same way in my day job, where I have a lot of coworkers who are way smarter than me, but I'm pretty good at talking to everyone and getting everyone to speak the same language. But I always have these lingering feelings of but I always have these lingering feelings of inadequacy, where it's like, oh, these guys are way smarter than me. What am I doing here? I don't deserve to be on these teams.
So yeah, what do they call that? Isn't there like a thing where it's like imposter syndrome, right? Like even if you're super qualified, you still feel like an imposter.
Yeah, I feel like you just diagnosed me.
So I just want to tell a little anecdote about Stephen for listeners to let you know how smart Stephen is. I remember in high school, senior year, you probably don't remember this, Stephen, but I had never gotten a higher score than Stephen on a test. Do you remember this? I think all of school. And we got a test back and I had scored like a 98 on it, like done really well. That was a tricky test. And I was like, this might be the day that I finally beat Stephen Merrill at a test. And it comes back. And Stephen was the only one in the class, I think in all the like sections of the class, that got 100 on the test.
Man, that's messed up for me, Josh. I apologize for that.
Well, I think we all thought that Josh was going to say that Stephen got a 34 on the ACT and went back to retake it.
Oh yeah, that happened too.
That might have happened. But enough about me. Let's to close on Navani. So I think one of the unanswered questions going forward here, I would say there's two big ones for her. One is what's going on with this spear that she got from Zeth, that is the same one that Gavilar gave to him back in the day. There's something going on here. It's not void light, it's something else. And then two is who wrote to her on the span read telling her to stop, right? Telling her that she was, messing with the Spren in an unholy way.
Spren. Yeah. I'm convinced that was a Spren. Okay, so I'm convinced that it's either a Spren or those scholars way back in like Way of Kings that were like measuring the flame Spren or whatever it was.
Those random scholars. Yeah.
Those random scholars. Fantology guarantee right there.
Chance that it's an Amian?
Yeah. Josh can't speak about this.
I can't speak about this.
They're very concerned about protecting the Dawn Shard, so I don't know if they're too concerned about other parts of Roshar.
Yeah. I think Spren probably is more likely, especially considering our next character, Shallan, will be leading this expedition into Shadesmar. So Shallan.
Wait, I have another prediction for that. Do you think it is Maya?
Maya is riding to Navani, and she's the Spren.
Adeline has succeeded in bringing her back from being a Deadeyes.
Well, Adeline doesn't know about it then. So Maya has this ability already. I mean, look, last time we saw Maya, she was just screeching at the top of her lungs. She didn't really seem all that coherent.
It's been a year, man.
It has been a year.
Okay, sorry. That's a crackpot theory.
Shallan. Yeah. Thanks for the crackpot theories. I think we encourage those. She's got this 3 persona now. We have this nomiker for the combination of Radiant, Veil, and Shallan. But it's really concerning here because there seems to be a 4th persona lurking that she gives a name to called Formless. And the Fantology guarantee that I've given on the pre-release episodes is that this Formless persona is the real Shallan, and she is the one who's kind of perpetuated some of these things unbeknownst to us now. And she also could be Thayadakar, the Ghostbud leader. So that might be a crackpot theory, but there's something going on here with this 4th persona.
Yeah, so this is very concerning. the other more on the nose thing that I think is very likely is that that fourth persona is the spy that is infiltrating for the Ghost Bloods.
Yeah, could
And
be that. Could
because
be that.
that she killed Aileel or whatever.
Yale, yeah.
Sidious's wife. Yale.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the vowels right.
The Aiel from Wheel of Time.
So I'm pretty sure that that's the case. And I also do really like the theory that, and when you say like, is the actual Shallan, I mean, I think Shallan as like a person has been around, like that's always been her name, you know, like in her family. I don't think everyone just, but I think that the persona, the part of herself, and forgive me if I'm speaking about this in like terms that aren't like technically correct in terms of the actual diagnosis, but like the actual part of her personality that was controlling her, or that was in the forefront when she killed her mom and dad and went through some other trauma that we have yet to find out, is formless.
Yeah, Vale has thought back to this and encouraged Shallan to remember. Shallan's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then there's also these thoughts about formless. I could see that, Josh. Maybe that's the better theory. That's the Fantology guarantee.
So here's my question. It kind of seems like, I'm trying to think of like a GIF that this happens with or something, but like, it seems like Sanderson is just trying to one up himself on how crappy Shallan's past can be, right? Like, we find out that she killed her mom. Oh, that sucks. We find out that she killed her dad. Oh man, that sucks even more. Like, what else is this? Like, I mean, you know,
that's fair.
Like, just give her past a break. It's kind of bugging me. Like, how much worse can you get than like patricide and matricide, you know?
Yeah, Brando definitely likes to put his characters through the ringer here.
Yeah,
It's going to be something good. I mean, something bad.
So the other theory that I like about what's going to happen with Shallan in the future. So Mraize has told her that she needs to go to this fortress of lasting integrity, which is the home base of the Honor Spren. We haven't seen it yet. Obviously, I mean, we'd assume later in this book. And there she will find Ristaris, who is this guy who's somehow connected to the Ghost Bloods. And I think this is her father. I think her father is still alive somehow, and he's there because Mraize seems so certain that once Shallan locates this person, that she will join their side and he won't have to worry about keeping secrets from her or anything. And so this is going to be huge, whatever it is. But I think it's her dad somehow.
Yeah. What about her mom?
Could be as well.
So do you think that she might have like sent her dad to Shadesmar? Like when she was killing him?
When she was strangling him? Yeah. Gosh, I don't remember the body detail. We always need to keep track of the bodies after people die in fantasy literature. We didn't see Yasna's body, so we always knew she was alive in Woods of Radiance because we never saw the body. I don't remember the bodies of her parents.
Could you like nail somebody to Shadesmar? Like, do you think that she? I don't know. This is kind of getting crackpot.
Don't know, but yeah, we'll see. That's what we're looking forward to going forward. The expedition.
Yeah. Yep, the expedition. What about? Could it be Hoyd/Wit? And lasting integrity.
Well, why? Because Wit is right there. We've already seen him in part 1.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, okay, yeah. Okay.
Shallan also learned some more Cosmere details from Mraize, from the notebook.
Yeah.
And here's one thing. I mean, this is where Brandon's always kind of walked the line between, we've got a Stormlight book that's its own story. You can enjoy that. And then we've got all the Cosmere stuff, which is a whole additional level. They've always been kind of separate, but now it's not really separate anymore. Like if you're just reading the Stormlight books, you're going to be like, what was that chapter? That made no sense to me.
No, you can still follow the main narrative.
There's some pretty big things. I mean, the conversation that Kaladin and Xyle have, and Shallan and Mraize and the notebook, those are very large Cosmere related things.
They're just big to us because we know the other side of what's going on. You know, like I think if you're just reading it, like you'd still be following the narrative of the chapter just fine.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I guess for me, it's just so big. It's like, how could you not love this?
I guess if you're in Discord, or like you've only read the Stormlight books, reach out to us and let us know if you're confused. Yeah. I actually
I might ask again. I know I've talked about this. My father-in-law has not read any of the other Cosmere books, so I could ask him.
Same with
when
my
he gets
dad.
around to
I'll
reading
run this by him, see what he thinks.
Dang, we need a father and father-in-law feature on the next episode.
Yeah, for sure. Cosmere
the one thing
Noobs with Fantology.
Here, this is how they look on the camera.
Ooh, burn.
The one thing I will say is just in his live stream tonight, the Rhythm of War release stream, I should say, Sanderson was saying that he that when he started out writing, he was really afraid of continuity stuff because in the 90s it was a big no-no and authors really tried to stay away from it. And so that's kind of how he started off his career. And you can definitely see that in, like Mistborn, like Hoyt is just a beggar or an informant that, you know, but now I think he's a lot more confident with that kind of stuff, partly because he's grown up as an author. I think partly because of the MCU, partly because of just the way that the media landscape has changed in the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, I think he always wanted to do it, but there wasn't an appetite for it. So he snuck it in there enough. So he was hoping one day he could. And now he's killing it.
Yeah. So it was also interesting. One of the recent YouTube videos that Sanderson made or interviews he gave, somebody asked him who he would most want to be, like who he would compare himself to or who he would hope that somebody would compare him to. And he said Stan Lee, who is obviously the creator behind most of the Marvel stories that we read about. So yeah, very telling that that's kind of who he aspires to be like.
Yeah. I think he also mentioned Stephen King as someone who does a really good job of the continuity series. Okay, next character. Let's talk about Adeline. So Adeline starts off by almost blowing it for Shallan's undercover mission to infiltrate the Sons of Honor. So we didn't even really talk about the Sons of Honor. They got offed pretty quickly and seemed kind of pathetic. I'm really disappointed in the Sons.
Yeah, man. Took a big L.
Yeah,
but I mean, to be fair, they did have, you know, their leaders have not been doing too well either. Gavilar gone. I mean, Amaram, wasn't Amaram a Son of Honor dude as well?
He's gone.
Amaram toes. So it's kind of Sadius.
Sadius not directly involved, but yeah.
Okay.
His wife, yeah. Yale.
I'm kind of wondering if Sanderson meant for the Sons of Honor to kind of be defeated in the last book with the death of Amaram.
Like forgot to do it.
And just, well, I don't know if it just didn't really work or if beta readers were like confused about, of just being like, okay, we need some sort of more of a resolution. You know, like, oh, I'll throw this in the climax sequence I have going on in the beginning of the fourth book.
Yeah. Josh was saying that there's even more that was supposed to be in the standard launch from Oathbringer.
The Sons of Honor just,
Anyway, so those guys are gone. Adeline had a little bit of a part in that mission. Honestly, for me, the biggest thing was Adeline's rescue of Kaladin during the Depression. I thought that was fun. And then this brewing conflict with his father after the release of Oathbringer, which was probably a bestseller, but at the same time, you killed my mom.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I also enjoyed the scene when like him and Kaladin and Shallan were at the pub and they're like trying to ship Kaladin to all the
that was
to everybody. And also like you also saw how Adeline and Shallan were making the relationship work. You know what I mean? So.
And you saw how popular Adeline was. He knew everyone's name there. Like, Prince Adeline, we love that guy.
He like brought a birthday present for somebody, like just whips it out of his jacket pocket.
Yeah. He's a real stand-up guy. I mean, initially I didn't like Adeline as much. I thought it was kind of boring, but I think it's kind of hard not to like Adeline. He's really grown on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so his dad, Dalinar, real big step back from Oathbringer, where he was the main focus, and so he's not really a viewpoint character. He's not a viewpoint character at all in the first part. At least we see him still. He's made some advancements. He can create a perpendicularity whenever he wants, and when he does, he creates this ominous, mysterious tone that Navani observes and thinks is interesting. We don't know what this really means. He makes the hard but appropriate decision to retire Kaladin, who needs some help at this point. So he's still a strong leader, but I guess we're not sure if he's going to make the right decision here with Taravangian. Does he trust him? Does he not? Please don't trust him. This looks like a disaster forming potentially.
Well, we do see him taking the Mink's advice, and he kind of needed a second set of eyes to confirm to him what he kind of already knew.
Yeah.
Come on, man, you gotta have some faith in Papa Dal here.
I don't think that's gonna stick, Ben.
No,
have some faith
Papa
in
Dal.
who?
Papa Dal.
He's grown into be more of like a patriarch type figure to our characters. I feel like.
Oh, Papa Dal. Oh,
Papa Dal.
didn't even understand what you were saying. Yeah, that I don't think that's gonna stick.
For some reason, Kaladin has the nickname of Cal, but Dalinar can't have the nickname of Dal.
Cal and Dal. Maybe if they had a stronger relationship, that's one thing that I wish for Kaladin, is if he could really open up with Dalinar, be a little more vulnerable with him. They've got some similar issues in their past.
I think so too, but Dalinar kind of blew it with Kaladin, in my opinion. Gosh, Words of Radiance, when he shot down the boon seeking Kaladin. Just like straight to the prison for you.
Yeah,
that's pretty messed up, man.
It was a messed up thing for Kaladin to do as well.
Okay,
I mean, come
enough.
on, read the room a little bit. Another thing with Dalinar is it seems like it's hinting at an Oath Pact reform, which is something Fantology has guaranteed will happen. Our current heroes will in fact reform the Oath Pact at the end of the first sequence of books, and it's already setting it up. We're talking about the Oath Pact. We're talking about Dalinar's powers in relation to forming the Oath Pact. It's coming together, I'm telling you.
Yeah, man, guaranteed. Okay, so any other characters?
Yeah, let's talk about Venli a little bit. Venli was huge. This is going to be her book. Actually, I'll say she wasn't huge in the first part, but she will be huge. So she got, I think, 2 different points of view chapters, and she has a really nice look into what the fused culture society is like. Fascinating.
Yeah. So I think that this is the big hurdle that Sanderson has to kind of clear in this book. Stephen's on record saying that he doesn't even really care about the Parshendi.
Yeah, I said the Parshendi were boring.
Yeah, so we kind of we gotta get like a vested interest here. We know that that she is going to kind of try and set up this society that maybe doesn't seek to kill all the humans, but maybe live peaceably. Something I've thought about is that maybe she's going to try and recruit Kaladin in this. I don't know. It's unclear what her kind of end goal is here.
So it seems to me she's trying to get the listeners, her people, the remnants of her people, away from the fuse. She hates the fuse now. She's like, I have made a huge, tiny mistake here, and I need to get the heck out of here and help my guys somehow. She's a will shaper. She has the ability to travel through Shadesmar, even though she hasn't really done it yet. So that's what I think is going to happen. She's going to get into Shadesmar with a group of these guys. Somehow she's going to come across the expedition. There's going to be some kind of trading of information, something like, yeah, I mean, it seems, am I wrong here? Like, this seems possible.
Yeah. My observation was that she's a definite Moses-like figure. She's a prophet. She starts off as a prophet, like kind of declaring the words of Odium, or the words of the fuse at least. And then it sounds like she's going to lead her people out of bondage and into freedom in the wilderness.
Josh sounds like a Fantology guarantee is that she's going to kill a fused as they seek to whip a human. And that's gonna the impetus for
that would be really on the nose.
I mean, Sanderson, bless your heart if you go for that. I will be impressed, and kind of cringe at the same time. But go for it.
It's all right. I've been impressed and cringed at some things that Sanderson has done in the past too.
Stretch forth thy hand.
Yes. Oh man, stretch forth thy hand. Please do not do that. Anyway, with Venli, we get a look into the fused. So they've got 9 orders, which I actually just realized today. The 9 orders have got to directly mirror the Knights Radiant orders. Which one's being left out? It's probably the Bondsmith order, right? Because the Fuse don't have access to the Storm Father or the Night Watcher or the sibling. So that's probably the direct comparison there. But what if they do? What if they are able to bond like the siblings somehow, take over Yirathiru? We know that's their plan already here with Raniel, the Fused who's coming in and leading this expedition into the tower to do exactly this. So I'm concerned about the Fused.
Yeah. So
I think
what do
you're
you
right
guys
to be concerned about the Fused. They're the pretty bad guys throughout the series.
Yeah, I mean,
Shut up, Josh.
no,
You know what I mean.
No, but seriously, I think that up until this point, they've just kind of been
Cannon fodder a little bit.
cannon fodder and just I feel like the Parshendi have been cannon fodder, and the Fuse have just been kind of the void bringers, of like the big bad what people like are afraid of, but we haven't seen them a lot.
We haven't seen them acting intelligently at all.
I mean, we got introduced to them in Oathbringer, and we saw some of their flexing when they're fighting Moash. But even then, Moash just took down Leshwi with a spear,
And we saw that kind of like the final battle of Oathbringer as being like Odium led, right? Like Odium was the one that was like setting everything up. He was like picking his challenger. It wasn't really a showdown with a Fused as much as
there were some Fused
Odium.
introduced. I mean, there was the Lightweaver Fused, there were the Edge Dancer Fused, probably some other ones that we saw as well, just briefly. But yeah, now I assume we see all 9 of these guys and they're built out a little bit more.
Yeah. So what did you guys think about the fact that the 9 were like entombed in like I don't know, like.
Yeah, what's up, Three-Eyed Ravens?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. It made it real creepy. I don't know. Hopefully there is like a reason for it that we find out about later on, but that scene in my head was way creepy.
I could not picture anything other than some levels on Halo where you're inside of the more alien type settings. That was all I could picture.
Oh, for sure. That's an apt description.
Yeah, child of the 2000s, I guess.
Yeah. So any other characters? If not, I don't know. I think we should do worst of the best here. But.
So briefly, we got Renarin. We've seen some other juggling lights around. He's got different abilities than the Truth Watcher. He comes in and saves Kaladin from Moash. Kind of shows Moash who he could have been. Another crossover from Mistborn, if you can kind of remember that. No spoilers there. And then Yasna comes in with Wit. There's some talk of like, are they together? Sanderson has posted a Reddit post about this specifically. I'm not going to spoil that because it does talk more about things that are going on there. So let's not talk too much about her. She does want to free the slaves. So another Moses crossover.
Yeah.
I also thought it was really interesting that Renarin is still being kept as a little bit of a secret. I feel like Sanderson's just holding the cards pretty close to his chest with Renarin. Like we're finding out more and more about him, but I just wish we knew a lot more about him because I think that there's going to be some really important stuff with the corruption that's going on with this brand.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, worst of the best. Why don't you guys let's change it up a little bit this time. Tell me what you maybe didn't like as much about this part 1, and then let's say what we're looking forward to most in part 2 or the rest of the book. It's hard to know what's in part 2 only. So tell me what you're looking forward to after reading part 1.
Okay, so my thing I didn't like as much was this might be kind of a hot take, but I wish we would have almost gotten more time with the Parshendi to really kind of build out those characters because I feel like and this is going to lead into what I'm looking forward to more is seeing these bad guys that we were introduced to briefly over the course of just really one chapter be the main antagonists of the rest of this book. I really hope that they come and really provide some creepy. I almost feel like this could be more of like not a horror type book, but more of a suspense, like more small scale conflicts where you're like dealing with these really creepy characters.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And then what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, what are you looking forward to?
Well, that was what I'm kind of looking forward to. These kind of smaller scale
combo.
Well, yeah. Done. So the thing I wish there would be more build up, but I'm really hoping we see these smaller scale
like conflicts with these really creepy, like vengeance filled fuse that we got introduced to.
Yeah, Josh is still doing worst of the best correctly how we first conceived it. It's kind of morphed into just like, tell me a bad thing and tell me a good thing. So props to you, Josh.
Thanks, Stephen.
So I will like kind of similarly set this up. The thing I was most annoyed by was the fact that we were told that Shallan has yet another secret that is yet to be discovered.
Yeah.
So I think we've kind of ridden that horse to death. But as much as I hate it, I am looking forward to seeing what that secret is and watching how she resolves that and hopefully swears the fourth ideal after she has kind of admitted that truth to herself.
All right. I am unable to get it together with both of my bad and good things being the same thing. So I'm just going to throw it out there. The thing that I didn't like was the small detail of Kaladin having yet another failed relationship in the time skip with Lynn, who is one of the Windrunner squires. Let's see this on camera a little. I mean, how many things does Kaladin have to, how many of these relationships is he going to have that don't really turn into anything, or let's at least get some details around.
And you're referencing the relationship that he had as a slave, right? That
the relationship
we've heard
with
her name like one time.
Yeah. I think it's dang, I remembered her name in the Oathbringer podcast.
Steven remembered, yeah.
Nara starts with an N.
I guess this is why you only
Nala.
got a 34 on the ACT, Steven.
I got a 35, man.
Shoot.
Okay, so there's that. Look up her name on Coppermine. Sorry, can't do it right now. But what I'm looking forward to. Oh yeah, Josh.
Well, I was just gonna say, are we just admitting? Is like Sanderson admitting to us all that he's not even gonna try with these romance relationships anymore?
I mean, he's got Adeline and Shallan going. That's a thing.
Yeah, and Navani and Dal.
And Navani and Dal. Navani and Dalinar. That's a good one. Those guys are good together. I like it.
But there's no romance. It's not like they're just sizzling with like.
Dude, it ended in part one with them melting into each other, man.
Maybe you need more like sexual stuff going on here or something, Josh.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like you never really feel like they're in love. You just kind of feel like they're in love. Like they're.
I don't know, man.
Because they're in love.
Like the end of chapter 19, right before the end of the first part, where they were talking together, and like you could tell these guys are on the same page and they know each other really well.
Yeah.
I don't know, Josh. You have a next level relationship where you're just like not even seeing the sparks from these other guys.
I know. I'm just saying that like if you took, there's just, I guess that if you took the love story out of their relationship, nothing would change about it. It would just be
Josh is hoping for the Steelheart love, like the relationship that happened in Steelheart.
That was some good stuff there. That was why I read Steelheart.
Yeah, exactly. Josh wants one of those cheesy like relationships going on here. He doesn't understand the adult relationships.
No, we just need some sort of like, here's a relationship that we're going to provide some sort of drama around. And we just haven't gotten that. I mean, they're kind of anyway, this is a whole nother subject.
That's fair. Yeah.
Josh, you could have chosen that for your worst of the best. All right. Leave Steven alone.
Sorry, Steven.
Josh, you part of Bachelor Nation over there?
Dude, there's a new episode on tonight that I haven't watched yet.
Busted. All right. The best thing, again, sorry, I wasn't able to hold to the worst and the best being the same thing. But the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is, you've probably heard this before from me, I want the tower to come alive, and I just need this to happen so bad. The tower is so cool. We've got drawings of it. If you've just read the pre-release or you're just listening, please refer to the actual art. Sanderson and team and Isaac took a long time today talking about through all of the art. I don't mean long time like it was too long. I mean long time like they were dedicated to it, and it's really cool. It's not something you see in other books. I mean, there are several different pieces of artwork to commission just for a fantasy book. So it's really cool. And there's a lot that's just Urithiru based. I need Urithiru to come alive and to start moving around and doing cool stuff. So please, can we get that soon?
Awesome.
All right. So now we're going to hang up and immediately read 300 more pages each, finish off part 2, and then we'll try to keep these reviews coming in a pretty timely manner so we keep everyone captivated. And once you finish, you have to find out our take on the individual parts as well.
And here's my thing. If you want to buy us an energy drink by joining Patreon for a month, go for it. We're going to need it for the next few weeks here.
Blend our caffeine habit. Yeah.
All right. If you like Fantology, you can find more of us at www.fantologybooks.com, and you can support us with energy drinks or whatever else you'd like us to contribute to the podcast at patreon.com/Fantology_books. All right, guys, back to reading. Let's do it.
All right.
All right.